Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So here we are on Saturday, the second Saturday in April, and coming back to somewhat normality. All the excitement, the busyness of getting ready for the visiting monks from Thailand. Hosting, the running around, and the Vobek has gone back to Bangkok a couple of days ago. Community shrunk in a bit smaller, and we're back to our kind of regular rhythm of morning, evening chanting. A few people staying over, and some of you might have known. I was slightly busy the last couple of weeks. So it's always nice just to come back to the monastery, come back to the small community. I know some of the lay supporters always want more people to come, more monks to come, more visitors to come. But I think our present size is just right. Because with more people coming, of course, when you live here, more complexity, more complications, more things to think about. And unfortunately, we've been here for about 15 or 16 years. And over the last few years, we're lucky, fortunate enough to have, plenty of support. Enough support that we don't have to do a lot of teachings outside in Sydney or different places. We're fortunate enough just to have the support for us just to be here and practice. Just be here with the morning chanting, evening chanting, bit of work. And it's just another day in the monastery. Another day in paradise. The weather's really good, so no complaints there. And so having hosted, Ajahn Tan coming just for a few days, and he hasn't been back since before COVID. And same with Luang Por Pek. I think last time Luang Por Pek was here was 2017, because I was looking through the pictures to make the poster. So it's about 7 years ago as well. And I'm usually not a kind of groupie mentality. I don't have to be next to a great monk to feel like I'm practicing. And I've always thought of myself as kind of more wisdom-based. I'm not so much faith-based. I could be wrong. But I'd like to figure out things myself, it's good, these guys practice and read the biography and it's nice and it's inspiring. But I always feel that, your practice is kind of your issue, something you have to work through, and you hear the Buddha said, many meditation masters said, their job is to inspire us, to relate their practice. But we all have our individual path, and for each and every one of us to kind of figure out where is it that we make problems for ourselves and others. Where is it that our attachment get in the way? Where is it that we're holding on to things that doesn't allow us in the freedom from stress and suffering? And we all have our individual histories and karmic tendencies. So in that way, it is for each and every one of us to learn, to find different skillful means to let go, and to find ways to inspire ourselves. And also I notice in my own practice, sometimes it's not the great teacher. Great teachers are fine, but sometimes it is our own kind of a friend in the holy life, our own people in the community that inspire us to practice, because they're the real flesh and blood that we come into contact with. Sometimes the meditation masters, when you read of them, they seem so far removed. It's hard to relate to them, right? What? I mean, how does it relate to an experience of Lumpo Big, who first time he sits in meditation, goes into the fourth jhana? I mean, how many of us can do that? So it's hard to say, oh yeah, that's the one I want to follow. I can do that. Or how, Ajahn Tan, as a 7-year-old boy, decided he's not going to lie ever again. He said, lying is silly. I'm not going to ever lie again. And then it was inspiring to hear these stories and be around these pure individuals. For most of us is coming back to our own body and mind, our own individual issues that we learn to work with. And I always thought, you go through the day-to-day practice, you put your effort into the meditation practice, and you contemplate the different things that arise on your day-to-day experience or in your mind. I'm very traditional, as most of you know. Nothing earth-shattering. Contemplate the body, death contemplation, a lot of anapanasati. Just very, very traditional. Occasionally Buddha, I don't do that anymore so much, but mostly a lot of anapanasati. A bit of metta meditation, being a senior monk. I think it's quite useful to do metta meditation, to learn to generate this energy, this focus of friendliness, of acceptance, of forgiveness to the people that you live with. And it's something that I picked up and I remember from Ajahn Khemavaro. We were in Taodam, he said that, as a senior monk, he does it, at least twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, that he focuses on the different faces of different members of the community, and with a smile on their face. May you be well, may you be happy. So, for some reason, and obviously many teachings over the years, but that stuck. So I always try to do that as well, meditating each section. It's a good meditation, bad meditation. Towards the end, kind of bringing a sense of well-wishing, friendliness to all the people that happens to be in the monastery that day. And I feel that that's a large part in helping communal harmony, that you learn to look at each other with eyes of kindness, whether in private or in public. We try to blend each other like milk and water, as the Buddha said. Not oil and water, milk and water. Of course, we're all individual beings. We have our own individual histories, inclinations, but we're here. We're all disciples of the Buddha. We're all walking the same path of peace and compassion and wisdom. So we learn to offer, kindness and friendliness as much as we can. Of course, as you know, living in a community, from time to time, we do get on each other's nerve. And that's part and parcel of communal living, that we do rub each other differently. And I always remind people that our differences, our arguments, our friction doesn't define us. It's learning to move from that, learning to accept, learning to live with that. and still being kind and gentle to each other and to ourselves. That's what is called the practice. Maybe sometimes we don't make it, we fail, but we try over and over again every day, inclining towards peace, inclining towards kindness. I always remind people, we don't have to like them to be nice to people. Nobody says a requirement. And it's a powerful tool to know that we have a choice to always be kind and gentle, regardless of whatever the world is doing, what the world throws up at you. Always react with peace and wisdom. So being with the meditation masters, being with Ajahn Tan, Ajahn Pek, certainly help. And that's, I remember, when we practice, we put in the hours. When I was a young monk, I used to count my hours, 8 hours minimum a day. Write in my little journal, I make my 8 hours a night. I don't do that anymore. I finally don't think. Being an abbot, kind of more busy. It's hard to get 8 hours in. But and also go through that. I guess I think somebody told me as well to be, in the arts, in the music or sports. There's this rule, the 10,000 hour rule. That unless you've done something for 10,000 hours, then that's considered a pro. You're a pro if you do that. For some reason, that was stuck with me, so I'm always counting my hours. Make sure I get to the 10,000 eventually. Then I can be a professional meditator and get my certificate. And then as you go on from your young monks, you're not so focused on those things. It's hard to let it go. But I think initially it's a good foundation to get, just to, yes, everybody says, as long as you're mindful, everything's a practice. True. But I find that unless your bum is on the seat, you're actually doing formal sitting meditation, you're kind of kidding yourself about, it's all meditation, I'm just being mindful. So I think it's important, certainly for young monks starting out and middle monks, just to really put an effort into the formal position of sitting and walking, of not distracting yourself with other things, and watch the mind. Start to remind people, when you're sitting there, you're just sitting and watching the mind. It shouldn't be that difficult. I'm not asking you to dig a big hole. I'm not asking you to build, a meditation hall. I'm not asking you to do anything very strenuous, actually. Just sitting quietly. But so sometimes some people find it difficult to do that. And but I find that you put in the hours as a young monk. You think you're progressing towards this thing that's called nibbana, liberation, freedom from suffering, or whatever it is that you read about and think about. And you feel like, you're progressing onto the path. But I think, and that is kind of one level of perspective on the practice. But another level, as you practice day in, day out, and the years go by, there are moments in your life, in your practice, that things seems to shift. It's like your practice like a bunch of pieces of puzzle. It's kind of floating around. It's kind of fit, but it doesn't really fit. And at different times, through deep meditation, different times to clear seeing, things just click together. Like, okay, that's interesting. That's how it works. That's what I've been doing wrong. I've been holding on this. That's interesting. And it's not strictly based on the hours you put in. It's not strictly based on deep meditation. It could be just, walking along, doing whatever it is you're doing, and then things just click together. It's like, okay. And then you get a sense of a surge of energy, a deep confidence that this is the right path that you're doing. This is the right things. You feel like you're shedding off something. It's hard to put into word. You don't know exactly what you're shedding, but it feels lighter. It feels there's a kind of deep confidence that arises from somewhere that you don't really know. And this happens occasionally from time to time throughout the year, where the practice just shifts and becomes a bit more solid, a bit more comfortable, and a bit more enjoyable. Life in the monastery. There's sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes you're plagued by doubt. Oh, maybe I should go back and do something. Maybe I should trade in I can leverage my experience in finance and go and create a bank that doesn't profit on people. A bank that's based on mutual trust, something, or do some charity work or something. You do much better. I can help the world better as a layperson, because the mind is so boring. You don't do anything, just watch your breath. It's like, I can do something, introduce more people to meditation or whatever that the mind throws at you when you're bored and you want to do something else. But at these times where things seems to click and come together, you feel like, it's exactly where I should be. It's exactly the right thing to do. To be a monk, to be in a monastery, to be right here where I am. Things are just perfect the way they are. So and it's hard to tell ahead of time why these things happen. And it could be just because you're, as a monk, as a practitioner, you're creating good karma, you're meditating, keeping the precept, inclining towards, you're building, as people said in the vernacular, the bharami, the spiritual perfection, acting out of kindness, creating good karma, avoiding unwholesome actions, inclining towards what is wholesome, meditating. So you're building up spiritual qualities of patience, endurance, of energy, kindness and peace. So these things build up, and then at certain times things come together. So for some reason, I don't know what, but after the visits of Ajahn Tan and Lupopi, this feels like kind of was kind of so much a surge of confidence in the holy life, in living the life of a simple life, just in the monastery, just doing the day-to-day stuff. We're not saving the world in the traditional sense. They're going out there and reaching to people. We're just sitting quietly, doing the morning chanting, bit of work, evening chanting, allowing people to come and practice with us when they come. I'm happy to share our space with them, share the knowledge that we have, and then also happy when they leave and other people come. And I just do this, seeing the ever-changing faces in the sala when I look out. As you know, it's the small monastery. We have a high turnover. Sometimes we have 100% turnover every year. Different monks come and go. Different people come. And even though I'm one of the main monks who's been here, I also have a perception that obviously, nothing is permanent. Certainly not myself. That eventually, in 20 years' time, I will be also another person that's faded away from this place. This sala will be here, more or less. Just different people come in, cultivating peace, sharing the goodness, and then passing on. Offering, carrying that seed of the Buddha, the seed of enlightenment, seed of deep peace and wisdom. And like Luang Por Big said, I know we're in a culture that we want everything this lifetime. What's the use of meditating if I'm not enlightened this lifetime? Okay, maybe not this lifetime. How about next lifetime? I had somebody in Brisbane who wanted me to ask Luang Por Big where he can help him to become enlightened this lifetime. But maybe not this lifetime. Okay, maybe next lifetime, the latest next lifetime. And I think one of the biggest talk, he was like, looking around this room, you guys more likely to count for like maybe 1,000 lifetime or 10,000 lifetime is more like it. I know that probably annoys some of you. It's like, what? I've given up my life and you're telling me I'm not going to be enlightened for another 10,000 lifetimes. And I think it's not as bad as it sounds. It's not a judgment call on your, our collective confusion, delusion, or defilements. We have so many defilements that we can't be enlightened. Not like that. I don't think it's meant like that. It's meant like it is the path of cultivating wholesome qualities. And I always see that it's a path of increasing joy and happiness. So if it's a path of increasing happiness, increasing peace, increasing wisdom, there's no need to rush to the end. Because it's a path that is beautiful in the beginning, right? Beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. So enjoy the journey. Every day you cultivate a bit more peace, a bit more kindness, a bit more patience, a bit more energy in the mind. A bit more kindness, a bit more charity. And every day is a beautiful day, one after the next, allowing you just to walk one step at a time. And when you focus on the joy in the practice, focus on the joy of the journey, when you're in the present moment, whether it's 1,000 lifetime, 1 lifetime, 1,000 lifetime, 100,000, it doesn't really matter, right? Time is just a concept that for some reason in the modern society we get fixated on, obsessed with. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, and you can feel that for yourself, you're having a good time, time passes very quickly. And it really doesn't matter. Sometimes when you have a peaceful sit, you can sit for 2 hours and it's like, wow, where did that time go? It feels like you just close your eyes and you open it up, time is gone. And also the opposite is true. When the mind is confused and distracted, and you're sitting and you think, oh, it must be at least an hour, and you're almost like, what? 5 minutes. The clock didn't move. I've got another hour to go. Oh my God, how am I going to survive this sit? So time is relative to how much joy you're having. If it's a path of joy and happiness, then time is irrelevant. But it's also important to be sure, though, to focus on that you always have the goodness, the good karma. That's what you focus on, your power of determination all the time. That may you always be close to the true Dhamma. May you always be close to enlightened beings who always lead you in the right direction. Because sometimes it's so easy to take a left turn somewhere, a right turn somewhere. But as the Luang Por Big always remind us, eventually we'll all be enlightened anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Some people take the long way, the tourist way, the sightseeing way. That's known as the Mahayana. And other people take more the direct way. Either way, you get there at the end. So it really doesn't matter. Sometimes the main thing is, sometimes it's hard, it's easy to say, try to enjoy the journey. Learn to appreciate what you have already. Because sometimes so much of our time, sometimes so much of the focus of the world we live in is always about what's wrong with things, what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with other people, what's wrong with us. And we don't appreciate that all the right things that's happening in our life. It's all the right things happening in the world, all the right things happening in your community. And it's through that mind gets brighter. When we get angry, we get disappointed. We lose a lot of energy through this negativity. And so much of the path is focusing, is generating wholesome energy and all that is good. And that's why it's part of the right effort is to sustain wholesome qualities and abandon unwholesome qualities. And it's just that much in terms of the practice. You don't do anything special, you don't do anything grand. Just letting go of unwholesome states, developing, harnessing, extending, sustaining wholesome energy, wholesome effort in the mind. Wholesome states of peace, states of calmness, states of acceptance and forgiveness. So even though sometimes you do have doubt, remember a couple of days before Ajahn Khemavaro's visit, and everyone's like, what are we doing? It's too expensive to have these teachers come, we've got to pay for this, we've got to clean everything up. It's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, yeah, it's true, why am I doing this? I can just fly to Thailand and be with them. I don't have to invite them over here and run around. And but no, I think, provide an opportunity for Ajahn Tan to come, for Luang Por Pik to come to Australia, to share their teaching, just share their presence. I feel is an amazing opportunity, and is one small way that I can pay back. So all the people who introduced me to these great teachers to begin with, to help me to begin my path of practice. And because, it's been a path of a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. That's not always easy, but for the most part, amazing path that I had no idea that it's possible before I embarked on it. It's a small way of just to share that knowledge, to help people just to become in contact with these great teachers and to see for themselves. It doesn't always click. Not everybody's so impressed, and that's also fine. We all have our own common inclinations, and but just to be around them, to be able to look, to help look after them. Yeah, it's been a great opportunity, and a great joy in being able to connect with these meditation masters. And as you know, I find that perfection, I used to say human perfection, comes in many different shapes. Certainly when you look at Luang Por Pik, it doesn't look like human perfection in that way. But listen carefully when I tell you. It's not human perfection. It is perfection, period. Because it is beyond all the different dimensions that we are born into. You can't be higher than a pure enlightened being. It's all the different realms that we can be born into. They're not enlightened. They can be powerful. They can be whatever, but they're not enlightened. They're not pure. And sometimes it's hard because we have these ideas of what these teachers should be like. And I think, as most of you know, life is not like that. Why it's not in our head? And hopefully there's something deep inside of us that recognizes purity when you see it, that feels that, and it's, like I said, we, from a Buddhist perspective, we're born many, many thousands, hundreds, millions of times, and we develop relationships, past relationships with each other, many, many years. And so sometimes you have connection with different people, and it's instant, you feel it. Other times you don't, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just don't feel it, you don't feel it. But it was like I said, it has been a great honor to be able to host these 2 monks. And now that I've had to come down to earth again, come back to the monastery, back to the here and now, come back to the day-to-day life of being here. And it's fine, I'm aware of that, these things happen. But things in life is just that much nicer. Having been around a meditation master. Having, just been in good contact with a few days. But yes, I remind you over and over again, it's nice to be inspired, it's nice to be uplifted, but ultimately each and every one of us have to do the work ourselves. Have to find ways to let go of our unwholesome states. Find ways to cultivate all that is wholesome. Find ways to generate the energy to continue to develop all that is wholesome. To continue walking the path. Continue sitting and walking meditation, whether you like it or not like it, whether you have a great meditation or not. Just put in the effort, put in the time, put in the continuity of practice. So I offer you those words for your reflection tonight.